Now, it's just a couple of days to the midterms, and everywhere we have gone, we have seen the Democrats gaslighting Americans and claiming that two of the biggest issues, the economy and crime, simply aren't issues at all. In fact, they claim that Americans want more of what the Biden administration has been giving them. No, really, I'm not kidding. Here's Joe Biden talking to reporters Friday.
The thing that gives me the most confidence is the fact that the policies we've initiated, people care about. Now, they want more. They have a right to be.
Really, Mr. President? Well, it's not surprising that when pressed, he didn't want to go any further.
President, could I just ask you one quick question? You said that you were going to meet with the oil companies. When is that going to happen?
Perhaps that's because he believes you can just flick a switch and turn a coal-fired power plant into a wind generation.
So it's going to become a wind generation. And all they're doing is going to save them a hell of a lot of money, and using the same transmission line they transmit as a coal-fired.
Never mind that it takes something like 40 times the land area to get a gigawatt of power out of wind turbines, or the fact that you can't just magic up jobs for guys who've run a coal plant their whole lives in wind. Oh, and while he was speaking, he also managed to confuse General Motors Chair Mary Barr with Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett.
At the time, Amy Barr was Chairman Barr of General Motors.
Tell you what, Democrats more broadly seem just as confused about crime, which voters say is a crucial issue to them. Here's New York Governor Kathy Hochul, who is fighting off a surprisingly strong challenge from Republican Lee Zeldin, saying crime isn't a big deal in Democrat cities like the Big Apple.
These are master manipulators. They have this conspiracy going all across America to try and convince people that in democratic states they're not as safe. Well, guess what? They're also not only election deniers, they're data deniers. The data shows that shootings and murders are down in our state by 15%, even in New York City, down 20% on Long Island, where Lee Zeldin comes from. And it's the Republican states where they have almost no restrictions on guns. Because of the abundance of guns, people are killing each other with more frequency. The safer places are the Democratic states.
This is, of course, shameless. I mean, that Long Island suburb that she was talking about where Lee Zeldin lives, there was a shooting outside his house just the other day. And note, she said states. But, again, what about Democrat cities? Well, a new study by the Heritage Foundation proved that the idea that Republican states are the source of the crime problem is, in fact, just a myth. And it found that Democrat pushes to defund the police, end cash bail, and go soft on criminals have had, guess what? Exactly the predicted effect. And they found that, quote, these policies have contributed to the lawlessness across so-called blue cities and the steep rise in crime rates across America. To suggest now that Republican elected officials who have followed different policies have contributed to crime increases is at best laughable. Indeed, 27 of the top 30 cities with the highest murder rates are led in the United States by Democrat mayors, according to the Heritage Foundation analysis. And as these newspaper front pages show, crime really is a crisis in New York City and many other places. I mean, just the other day, a woman was brutally raped, allegedly, by a man with 25 prior arrests. And voters are rightly asking, what does it take to keep someone in jail in some of these cities? Well, unfortunately for those fed up in New York and elsewhere, Kathy Hochul is likely to survive her challenge, but it should be a wake-up call. Meanwhile, across the country, well, I'm calling the Senate right now 52-48, with key things to watch being a drawn-out battle over Pennsylvania and a likely runoff in Georgia on December 6th.